What NBA franchise is worth the most money? A question only multi-billionaires really need to care about, as they're the only ones who can actually afford one. But for us minions, it's an interesting question nonetheless, especially when you learn what factors make a franchise valuable. Here's a hint: it's not all about winning, although that does help. Welcome to Facts Illustrated, where in this video, we'll find out which of the NBA's teams are the most valuable. In order to do that, we'll be using the rankings as published by Forbes. To kick things off, we should note that the average NBA team is worth approximately $1.9 billion. And before we go into the top 5, here's numbers 6 through 10. As we just mentioned, the average worth of an NBA team is $1.9 billion. But the 10th most valuable team, the Miami Heat, has a worth of $1.7 billion. That's less than the average, and there's 30 teams in the NBA. What that means is, in order to get such a skewed average value, the 5 most valuable teams must seriously separate themselves from the rest of the league. And, well, they do. Number 5, coming in as the 5th most valuable NBA franchise at $2.8 billion, a value that is nearly $500 million more than the 6th most valuable franchise, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics make the top 5 due to the fact that they play in one of the largest markets in the country, and in terms of brand, the Celtics have among the best in the NBA. It's hard to imagine where the NBA would be without the Celtics. It'd be almost like baseball without the Yankees, or the NFL without the Packers. Look at how many banners they have hanging from their rafters. No other team has more, and the list of Celtics greats is quite a long one. From Bill Russell and his legendary coach Red Auerbach to Larry Bird and Paul Pierce. Number 4, with a value of $2.9 billion, the Chicago Bulls. This just goes to show you that no matter how crappy of a product you offer your customers, if your team is the only one in the country's 3rd largest market, you're pretty assured that team will be a literal gold mine. Just imagine what this team would be worth if Michael were playing right now in his prime. My God. While not having nearly prolific history of the Celtics at number 5, the Bulls were at the pinnacle of the NBA throughout the 90s, thanks to his airness. Aside from their ascent to the top in the mid to late 80s and their dominance in the 90s, this franchise has been pretty mediocre, with brief blips of relevance here and there, with guys like Chet Walker in the early 70s, and as recently from 2009 to 2015 when they made the playoffs 7 years in a row, led by guys like Derrick Rose, Joakim Noah, and Jimmy Butler. Number 3! The franchise at the 3 spot has seen its value increase by a whopping 367% in the last 5 years. That's absolutely insane. And a huge clue. Just think to yourself, which team in one of the league's largest markets has gone from perennial doormat to dynasty in the last 5 years? Valued at $3.5 billion, the Golden State Warriors are 3rd on the list. The plethora of talent that the Warriors currently feature on their roster with players like Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green has definitely played a role in the franchise's meteoric rise in value. Much like the Bulls at number 4, the Warriors have basically had but one real stretch of dominance, but in that stretch, they were so dominant that they've forever cemented the legacy of their franchise with an undisputed dynasty. The Warriors' new arena, the Chase Center, slated to open up next year, means the franchise will have a shiny new source of revenue, featuring all the means with which to most capitalize on the team's on-court success by being able to offer more lucrative luxury suites, premium seating, merchandising and naming rights, and sponsorship deals, which then means that the Warriors will be in serious contention to be the most valuable franchise in the league next year when Forbes releases this list again. On to the final 2. At number 2, The second most valuable franchise at $3.7 billion? You know they had to be on this list somewhere, and here they are. The Los Angeles Lakers. Even though the Lakers haven't been exactly competitive the last few years, even despite signing the self-proclaimed GOAT away from the Cavs, the Lakers have the fact that they call LA, the league's second largest market, home, which is a big reason for their number 2 ranking on this list. It also doesn't hurt to have Hollywood a stone's throw away from the Staples Center. Hollywood A-listers love to populate the courtside and lower-level seats at Lakers home games on a regular basis, even though the team has been crap since the 2013-2014 season, last making the playoffs at the end of the 2012-2013 season. And yes, I realize there's this other team in LA called the Clippers or something like that, but there is no other professional sports franchise in the US which shares its hometown with another team in the same sport and league that plays the role of second fiddle as much as the Clippers do to the Lakers. Yet even still, the LA market is so huge that the Clippers are the 9th most valuable NBA franchise, which is absolutely absurd. If you were to take that franchise and plop it down and say Oklahoma City, they'd plummet down this list. And that's exactly why the Clippers are never going to leave LA and are perfectly content with always being the redheaded stepchild to the Lakers. Lest we also not forget that the Lakers also possess the most valuable brand in all of the NBA, worth a staggering $674 million. And when you've had such legendary players put on the Laker uniform like Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, the NBA logo himself, Jerry West, Magic, Kareem, and the rest of the Showtime squad, Kobe, Shaq, Dwight Howard? Wait, how'd he get on here? Only the Celtics have more championships than the Lakers. Okay, on to numero uno. With a worth of $4 billion, the most valuable franchise in the NBA is... Here's a hint. The 2018-2019 season will represent their 5th consecutive year of having a losing record of 50 or more games. If you guessed the New York Knicks, you nailed it. Much like many of the teams in the top 10, the Knicks can thank the size of their home market as a primary reason for their ranking. Similar to LA, New York City has 2 NBA teams, and also similar to LA, one team triumphs over the other in terms of popularity. In this case, the Knicks dwarf the Brooklyn Nets, even though the Nets are ranked 6th on this list. And just like if you did with the Clippers, if you were to take the Nets and plop them down in, say, Salt Lake City, their value would sink more quickly than the head coaching career of Jason Kidd. I mean, no offense to Salt Lake City, Utah, as I'm sure it's a fabulous place. But, as you've likely seen on this list, the size of a franchise's home market plays a pretty dang big factor in how much they're worth. What's been a boon for the Knicks franchise is their $1 billion renovation to Madison Square Garden, their home arena, where renovations were completed back in 2013, allowing the franchise to tap into highly lucrative revenue streams. If this front office were actually able to string together just an average team, you can just imagine what they might be worth. And there you have it, the most valuable franchise in the NBA. A few other quick notes and observations on this list. Here's the top 10 most valuable NBA teams, along with, well, the least valuable. I've included the metro area populations for each because, whether you like it or not, that is a significant factor in determining a franchise's value. And in my opinion, it is the most important determination. These metro area population figures are also taken from Forbes. Of the top 10, the smallest metro area at 4.6 million is that of the Boston Celtics, who just happen to be the most prolific franchise in NBA history, which certainly helps their ranking. All of the other top 10 franchises are from metro areas with a population of at least 6.2 million. You can see how franchises in less populated areas fare. What surprised me a bit was to see the Pistons come in at number 26. That's pretty pathetic when your hometown metro area has a population of over 4 million. Numerous small market teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder, Utah Jazz, Indiana Pacers, Milwaukee Bucks, Orlando Magic, Sacramento Kings, and Portland Trail Blazers, all of which are based in much smaller population centers, rank higher than the Pistons. This is where what I feel the second biggest contributor in determining a franchise's value comes into play: their home arena. Quite simply, not all of them are created equal. Here we have Little Caesars Arena, located in Detroit and home of the Pistons and the NHL's Red Wings, for which the arena was really designed and built for. A hockey team, not an NBA team. Little Caesars Arena contribution to the value of the Pistons per Forbes is $155 million. Just for comparison's sake, Madison Square Garden's value is just a hair under $1 billion at $995 million for the Knicks. To further illustrate how important a team's home arena is to the bottom line, the Bucks' value increased 26% in the past year, the second most of any franchise. And it's not because of the continued emergence of their superstar, the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, but because they opened their new arena at the start of the 2018-19 season. And in my ever so humble opinion, the third most important factor in determining a franchise's value is their product. How good is the team on the floor? Now, I mentioned earlier on that it's not all about winning when it comes to how valuable a team is. But it can make a difference, and it does play a factor. Just not as big of a factor as the market a team is located in, or how well equipped their home arena is to tap into lucrative revenue streams and become the team owner's personal ATM machine. For proof of how winning on the floor can help, it's not just the Golden State Warriors you can look at, but also the Philadelphia 76ers, the team with the largest jump in value year over year and rose 40% in the last 12 months alone. That's pretty dang impressive if I don't say so myself. The team finally hasn't mucked up draft after draft after draft and finally has legitimate young stars in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, who also rank among the league's most popular players. TV ratings for 76er games rose by 40% last year. While all is good and well, I can't help but think just how bad, with a capital B, things got for this franchise pretty much ever since they traded away the answer to Denver, like a decade and a half ago. Basically, I can't help but think that the Sixers' value has been suppressed due to the ineptitude they've had for such a long stretch of time in building a quality team. And I say that because nothing else has changed in the past 12 months, other than the quality of the team. They didn't move into some fancy new arena. They didn't move to a larger metro area, which is kind of hard to do when you're already located in one of the country's largest. I mean, Philly's got, 6.1 million people? The only thing that changed was they didn't suck for once. And before we call it a wrap, here's a few other quick facts for you, because you like facts. This was the first time in history that every franchise had a value of at least $1 billion. In terms of sports franchises in the big three of the MLB, NBA, and NFL, the Knicks rank third, just behind their crosstown baseball neighbors, the New York Yankees, and behind the NFL's Dallas Cowboys, who are the most valuable sports franchise in all of America at an estimated $5 billion. Crazy. And there you have it. What'd you think? Are there any other lists you'd like to see? Let us know and maybe we'll pick it. And as always, thanks for watching Facts Illustrated.